This is culturally inappropriate.
Peace, 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 peace. For all who are here, for all who are here, peace. Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. This is, you are tuning into the Perfume Poetics. I am your guy, one half of the Perfume Poetics. I am coming out of Prince George's County, Maryland. PG County, what's up, what it do? Maryland, what up, what it do? DMV, what up, what it do? I am your guy, EQ, 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 EQ. Talk to him.
Hey, I feel like I should drop some bars down, man. Hey, what's going on, man? Triple B. Man, you know what's so crazy, man? I'm from Baltimore, and you from Maryland, you know, and right now I'm outside of DFW, man. Dallas, Texas, and
Dallas, straight out of Dallas.
Oh. I feel like she's dropping some bars. Oh.
This is culturally inappropriate.
What's going
Let's
on?
Let's go. Welcome, peace, 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 peace and more, peace, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. What it do, what it do, what it do. How y'all doing today? I see we got 64 people in the chat. Please hit the like button for those who in. I was late kind of promoting this out. A lot of different schedules. I know my brother, we's ripping and running, but we are here. We are back. We're going to try to give y'all the best content for the replay game. Please check both channels out. If you're not subscribed to both channels, please subscribe to both channels. We're going to be dropping off heat. What you got to say to the people, bro?
Yeah, man, that's how, you know, you lock in. You know?
Lock in. For those who are new to my channel, y'all know I like to have a sip of the night. So I'm going to go with my Colonel E.H. Taylor small batch for my sip of the night. I'm a bourbon drinker. I drink my bourbon neat, the way it should be. And I'm going to have a nice pour. Let's see what some of the things the people are talking about. Mm-hmm. If we want to see if you see some questions, you see some people you want to shout out before we start the show.
Yeah, man. Tell them, drop your sin of the day in the chat, too. Drop your sin of the day in the chat.
Drop those sin of the days in the chat. Let the people know what you're wearing. Let the people know what you're wearing. Hit the like button, fire, all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shout out, man. Let's see, Rockboy T. Been rocking with for a long time, man. Shout out to him.
Definitely shout out. Mm-hmm. I see people up in here. I see my guy Emmett in here. I see Remain Thorough in here. D Bush in here. Callie D in here. What up? We got Leon. In here. What up? What it do? Argos. He wearing the Argos. Habib. Peace. Azrak from Bodicea. Nice one. E.H. Taylor. Bois et Cure. All right. Swamp Water.
Hey, listen, man, right. They come with some heavy hitters in there.
They come in Pacific Chill. Day, definitely some heavy hitters, man. Definitely some heavy hitters. So you want to talk to people? You want me to talk to the people?
You kick it off.
All right. So real quick, people. You know, as we've been looking at the landscape, and I know my brother, he's taken off. Always shouted him out and said, you know, to me, he's one of the largest to really do it on this scale of fragrance. But at times, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like the fragrance space is just a little stale, which is not a bad thing. People get into it. But I think it's a little stale. So it's like, well, how can we take this live stream to a different level? Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, let's do something like a first take. We're going to do first takes. So we'll figure out if we'll create our own perfume podcast page on IG or whatever. We'll figure that out later in the future. But something where if y'all have questions, topics y'all want us to cover, hit us in our IGs, follow us on our socials, IG, TikTok, things of that nature. And you know, shoot, you know, topics y'all want us to hit on. We of course gonna come up with our own stuff, but definitely at some point we'll allow viewers to come in chat with us. But we're going to be doing something today. In one of the things that inspired my idea or my thoughts for today's show was the cost of Blue de Chanel Less Exclusive. So I bought that fragrance. Today I took it back to the store. I took it back to the store. I can't even hold y'all. I told y'all I was going to do it today. I had to go get a refund. And I did a first impressions on it. But the reality for me is it was way too, for what I got, for what I can get. That 300 just didn't hit the way I needed it to hit. Have you tried that fragrance yet, brother?
Yeah. I got it. The price is up there. The price is up there. And it's so crazy in the grand scheme of fragrance products. Not expensive, but for what you're looking at, I think the last time they dropped a fragrance in the Blue de Chanel lineup was $150, right? And now we're almost 2 times that amount, given it 7 years later. But there's companies out here that tend to get it right and are a fraction of the price. So I think there's something wrong in this space, and I think we're probably using some of the things that's going on in the political space as one of the reasons that they can raise these prices. But I'm not sure they should be raising the prices to what they are. To your point, what you're spending for what you could get, that opens the market up quite a bit. When you're in it, we can get to that price range. There's a lot you can get, and I'm not sure that should be the first thing that you're going to get at $300. It's wild. It's wicked out here.
Yeah, it is crazy, but we gonna get into it. So today's main topic is what I call bring on the clones. Bring on the clones, right? So we're gonna be talking about taking different points, different angles, different questions on clone fragrances, and some things we might say you might agree with, some things you might disagree with. That's okay. If you agree with us, put it in the chat. If you disagree with us, put it in the chat. I don't know what Triple B is going to say. I might disagree with Triple B. And we can disagree respectfully, and we will. That's my brother. And it'll be entertaining. But we're going to bring little topics. Don't get offended. First and foremost, this is entertainment. It's opinion-based. It's entertainment. At the end of the day, trust your own nose.
There we go.
Get out your feelings. I don't know. What's your your analytics like? I know with me, most of my analytics is like 25 and up, like 98.9% men. Is that about
same here. I'm like 94% men, and then 25 and up, So yeah, we're going the same lines.
So we shouldn't get in our feels over perfume. Let's not start it. Scented waters. Let's not start it today. Let's have fun. Let's have some entertainment. And with that being said, let's get it on. The first question I'll have you lead it off is, how do you think we got into this space of clones? As I see it, like it's to the point it's 90% of YouTube content. It feels that way of YouTube content. How do you feel we got to that space?
Yeah, I listen. I think it's a few reasons. One, I think that the clone fragrance brands have figured it out. They figured out that they can present products. One, let me say they figured out how to make them better, right? So I think over time, like when I started in this fragrance world, I wasn't into clone fragrances. And then I began to get into them because I got to experience the world of what they were. But they begin to make those better, right? And at the end of the day, people want value for money. And if they're getting you something that's extremely similar at a fraction of the price, oftentimes it may make sense for you to do that. But when you look at what it's done in the content creation space, at least in my opinion, it allows you an easy point of entry. So if you're thinking about doing something, you can get a clone fragrance. You can get a couple of them for less than a fraction of a full price bottle of a designer fragrance inside of a store. That gives you some content to go off of. And then also, because it's a cheap price point, people are willing to accept a little less. They won't complain as much if it don't go all the way right. So somebody might blind buy a recommendation, and if it's not exactly what they were expecting, like yeah, it's $30. I ain't tripping, right? But there's more people watching those videos, and in the content creation space, the eyeballs equal money. So therefore, more people are doing those videos because people are watching them. And despite people saying, "Oh, I don't want clones," or "I don't want most complimented lists," etc., what gets the attention is going to get done. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of people watching those videos, a lot of people asking questions about those videos, and it spreads wide for the young guy in school who wants to begin to smell good as he goes on and builds himself up, or the gentleman that's in his 40s or 50s and not quite where he wants to be and still wants to have some dopamine effect and feel good. It provides you opportunity there as well. So I think it's a wide range of people that covers. So therefore, dive into it. Do your thing. Go off.
Absolutely. Right. I can hear that point, but I'm gonna take it to another level.
Bet.
So the way I somewhat see it is I look at fragrance. Well, fragrance isn't the only place getting hit with this. I remember when you go back in the days, a designer fragrance was an entry point into getting into fragrance, generally speaking. The designer fragrance was the place. It was the working man's cologne or perfume, right? It was the working man's perfume, but we're going to call it cologne just for regular sakes, right? It was the working man's cologne. You knew that if you worked at Taco Bell, Foot Locker, or wherever it was, you can buy a designer fragrance that was going to smell good, would get you compliments, and it was the working man's starting point. It always was. Almost very reminiscent to the Corvette, right? The Corvette was America's sports car. It was the retirement car. It was the car that when you felt like you did something good with yourself, you was able to go out and get. Now when you look at a Corvette, it's no longer the working man's car. It is now well over $100,000 about time you finish with it. $100,000+ car is no longer the working man's car. And when you look at something like Bleu de Chanel being $300 for what you get with very limited creativity, it is no longer the working man's car or working man's product. It just isn't. So I think that's one. That's one of the effects. Two, I agree with you with, clone companies have gotten extremely better, not just with how close they can get with the quality of smell that they have gotten over time, but I'm looking at the presentation, because now presentation matters because more people are on social media and they want to display their achievements or things they bought or fragrances. They want to display it. And I think when you look on the shelf and it's not a shelf of stock bottles and you have different sizes, different shapes, different colors, it looks quality. It doesn't look cheap. And I can get it for well under $100, which is now the working man's price point. I think that comes into play. My last point is into it. I think what happens is it is social conditioning, but not on purpose. It's by opportunity. And what I mean by that is, let's just do it on a small end. For me to do a top 10 on what used to be a small end, that's $200. Let's just say $200 a bottle to be easy math. $200 a bottle. For me to do a top 10, that top 10 cost me $2,000. 200 times 10, $2,000. If I take that same fragrance and I put it at 40, that should be 50 fragrances I can buy for that same 2,000. So now that's for the same 2,000 with me doing one video, somebody coming into the game can do 5 videos to my one for the same cost of money. So now you have more influencers because influencer market was extremely short because everybody didn't have the money to do fragrance influencers because they couldn't keep up and buy all this. They just couldn't financially. But with a clone, I can keep up. I can do content. Then clone companies are paying. So I think if you see it more, it becomes a real thing and it becomes a popular thing.
What you
Just
said was
counter that.
what you said was 100% right. I mean, especially when you get to the price points and the amount of content that you can do. Kind of look at it like music, right? The song might not be a hit as it is the first time you hear it, but when the labels put it in your face all the time, you're like, hold up, man, this is kind of dope. This ain't bad. I might need this. I might want to download it. And in this space, when you think about the fragrances, it's really the same thing. Because if I can grab it and I'm seeing, 10 people getting 50,000, 100,000 views on it, for instance, my scent of the day. I've never smelled this thing until I told you, I think I told you last time. My man went out to Italy. He said, "What you want?" I told him pick this up. I never watched any reviews on it, but I kept seeing it pop up all over the place, right? Thumbnails and scrolling through Instagram and TikTok. I just see this pop up, and I'm like, "All right, cool, let me get it." And it's really the same way. The more it's in your face, the more it's there. You're like, okay, I'm willing to try it out. But to your point, if you're in a content creation space, you can do a lot more. And if you're a consumer into this game, you're seeing like you get more for your value, more bang for your buck, so to speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to start off this question, which the question is going to be, do you think today's fragrances are overpriced? I don't know why my mouse is acting up, but we're going to get to it. We're going to do it. It's a little ghetto. We're going to get to it, man. We'll figure it out. Are fragrances overpriced? That's going to be this part of the question. I would take my position on that is, and I said this on a video before, price is what you pay, value is what you get, right? The price is the price, right? If I want to go walk into Bottega, right, to get a shirt, it is what it is. Do I value that shirt? If I don't, I move on. I don't cry about it, right? I just move on. It comes down to what you value and what price. The price is set what it is, market or above. But I do think there's a point where value and price aren't aligning with each other. I think they're becoming stretched far out. And I think part of the reason that's the case is that what can I say? The creativity of fragrance companies have fell off, especially in the designer space, has fell off tremendously where it's almost embarrassing. Very few fragrances come out with something that hasn't been done before. It seems like everybody's doing everything and they're doing it quick to make a dollar. And if that particular fragrance is a top seller, then they flanker us to death with it. So Raja just dropped the Noir Elysium. I'll probably get it. But they just dropped that Elysium Noir. They had I think Extreme. I think they had the Extreme. It was the one with the rhubarb note in it. I believe they dropped. I think this is their third Elysium. Or maybe I'm tripping, but I believe it is their third Elysium. Then you figure Angel Share just dropped, which it's out now. You can go buy it. Angel Share on the rocks. So it's almost like is their creativity? Do we need to flanker everything to death? And I just feel like a lot of these companies are becoming money hungry, and in their creativity for creating art has also made it easier to be cloned because some things are unclonable. What's your thought?
So I see what you're saying, but let me ask you this. if it worked, why reinvent the wheel, right? And if we look at it, really, when we think about the niche space of fragrances, that's where they used to excel because it would always be something different. But if I am in the fragrance game as a manufacturer, and I know that when I put a name on this, it's going to go, then it just makes more sense to me to like, all right, cool. If I take Dior Sauvage and Dior Sauvage Elixir. When I first smelled Elixir, I said, this does not smell like it should be in the same realm. It shouldn't have the same name. It's different. But because it has the same name, it's easier to pull people into it. When I think about the fragrance game, I look at it kind of like anything else. You got the premium brands, and then you have the entry level brands, and sometimes they're owned by the same company. And even on a clone space, you have one clone house that has 10 different brands under it, pushing the same product at different levels, but the average consumer wouldn't know that it's the same brand. So I think that maybe it becomes easier in that aspect, but I don't think it changes the clonability of a fragrance. I just think they can do it quickly, right? They just put it in the machine, it spits it out, just like you take a piece of paint back to the store and say, hey, I want this, and do the same thing, right? So personally, I believe all fragrances are clonable. For the average person, they're not going to know the difference. For connoisseur, there may be a difference, but outside of that, all fragrances are clonable. But I think that what you have here is the ability to protect the premium brand. And if I'm a Dior, if I'm a Killian, I might even get into making my own clones. You know, kind of like they did with Bape, because I can protect the premium brand. I can make sure that price point stays that price point and keeps it that way. So if you think of um, Toyota, right?
Right.
Toyota's the entry level. You're a car guy. If I want to go ahead and get that next level, I go and get the Lexus. Same company, right? I just might throw you a couple more features, some things that I know you wanted that I wouldn't hook you up on the other side. Give you a premium ingredient in a fragrance, or a little premium suede. You know, something along those lines. Is really the same approach. You take Honda and Acura. Honda is the entry level. You control what the entry level price is, and then you go ahead and you make what the premium market, whatever you want it to be. So you can control it across the board. And maybe they are. Maybe they are. Listen, man, I know some I ain't gonna spill all the beans, but I know some fragrance perfumers who big names who are literally providing things to some of these clone houses. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna do what I like in this show because I can blow you up and I can now read the comments. I'm gonna call this the intermission break to the debate, where somebody has a real good points, and there's a couple of points. But I'm gonna try to post it up and we can address it. Fat Boy Finesse, shout out to Fat Boy Finesse. He has a channel. Shout out to him. Give him a follow, show him some love. He said if it costs $30 to make, but the bottle costs $3.50, what are we paying for? In the industry? I mean, that's the real question. Let me take that one first. So there's a few things with that. And I think as influencers, as connoisseurs, we have to be careful with what we say. I even have made this mistake. So I'm not taking myself out of the people who make mistakes realm. We get on these mics and we talk quality and we talk these things when we really don't know what the fuck we're talking about. And what I mean by that is I'll take one note. I'll do one note because I don't want to harp on it. Take Oud, for example. If anybody, there's a good documentary. I think it's like a 20-minute or 30-minute documentary about oud that somebody did. This guy, he went through Indonesia and all over the world trying to find oud. If anybody knows, a kilo of oud is more than a kilo of gold. It is the most expensive raw material that you can get. A tola, this is called a tola. A tola oud can cost you $1,000 depending on the oud you get. You're not putting quality oud and selling a fragrance for $30. The oud would cost more than, that's not happening. We have to stop. We all have to stop. Jasmine is expensive. George Zaroff came and I did an interview with him. And he talked about going to these fragrance flavor houses and getting stuff. Most of the people, all of us that's in it, because I've said these things too, we get on here and we say, oh, this is of quality, right? We stand on that. We've never bought raw materials. We never bought a pound of raw materials and see how much it costs. I would kind of like defer to the Georges, the Mike from Day 3 Fragrances, who are actually buying raw materials and putting it together and can tell us quality and what's going in there. Because depending on, there's levels to everything in life. There's levels to the jasmine that is being used. It's levels. And you can't tell me that a machine that you can put a fragrance in that's spitting out things is using real oud oil. That costs more than gold. We have to stop with the quality talk. We just kind of have to, because we wouldn't know if somebody put a whole bunch of essential oils in front of us and said, smell this, what you think? Most, one, probably wouldn't be able to identify without somebody telling us what it is. And two, we couldn't tell you how much it costs, and you can put 5 different jasmines in front of us. Things cost. Different cuts of diamonds cost. If you put 20 diamonds in front of you, depending on the cut, where it came from, it's going to cost different. And I think we do that a lot. And I don't know. I think it might be dangerous, but what you think, brother? Let me get you on the screen. What you think?
Yeah. I think the quality discussion is different, because it could just, quality is like a feeling. Just because you put a price tag on it doesn't mean that it's quality. And what you deem as quality might not actually be that. For example, let's take diamonds. You mentioned something about that. The lab-grown diamond game is crazy today. And they come rated, they come in the same VS, VVS, color scale, HG, whatever you're looking for is there. To some people, they may feel it's a quality purchase to do that because it has the same look, same shine. They're just saving a lot of money. To other people, it's going to be trash. It's going to be garbage. There was a time in my life, I had a guy I was talking to, and I was much younger then, and we were talking about watches, and he said to me, "Diamonds are for women." Right? And when you think about that, in some spaces, a Richard Mille could be quality, but to somebody who doesn't know any better, they might think that this is more quality than that, but it's not. So I would say the quality discussion is really up for debate. Like, you think about it in meats. You got a Walmart, meat versus a meat that you can get from a butcher, right? It's just different in terms of how to go. Let's call it Walmart versus grass ended. You know what I'm saying? It's different how you show up in that space. So I would say that the quality discussion is really just depends on the person and what they deem is important. If it's important to you to have less ingredients in terms of chemicals inside of the fragrance, then that might be a quality look for you. it's just the smell in itself, then that could be quality, even though it comes with a smaller price point. And on the oud discussion, just like anything else, whether you're talking ambroxan or amber fix, or the differences that you have there from a natural ingredient to just the chemical compound of it. Same thing with oud. Like for conversational purposes, when we're talking about oud and fragrances and doing these reviews on it, at least on my channel, I'm not going to go through, oh, it's a cypriot oil, and you go through and make it this, that, and the third with it, because for most people that doesn't make any difference for them. But I would say, just in generally speaking, depending on who that person is, what you may deem as quality may not be an important factor for me in terms of what quality actually is, and that's up for debate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody brought up a good point, and I posted it up here. He said there's only like 4 flavor houses that supply all these ingredients, right? It's only 4. But I also believe that there's also levels to everything. And I know, my guy Fat Boy said I'm talking artisanal. Yeah, but this is real oud, right? If you're telling me you putting real oud in fragrance, if you're putting oud in fragrances, real oud, I don't know. That's the problem. I think most people haven't smelt enough oud unless you're like Russian Adam or somebody like that, where you can, for certain say that that's real oud. You can say that reminds me through my scent memory of a real oud that I've smelt. But I just think a lot of us haven't smelt enough real oud to say Creed Royal Oud is not using real oud.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people stand on that, and I just don't. Sometimes I wish companies would hold people liable. Like when people say that and they can prove that it isn't, would just start. People got to be careful. Candace Owens is in a jam for saying some stuff about somebody. When we get on these mics and say things, there's going to come a time where, what was that other lady who was talking about Cardi B and was saying stuff and she got sued? Because we get on these mics and we say a lot of things, and you have to be very careful with what you say on what's in what when you don't know. Now, are you paying for price? Or are you paying for name? Are you paying for name? Yeah, absolutely. I think we all know that. We all know that you're paying for name. But I also, at least me, on my channel, out of my mouth, under my opinion, I can't say that jasmine isn't more expensive than the jasmine used in whatever. Now, I might ask myself, yeah, but those 2 jasmines smell the same. Why did you use the most expensive one? I don't know. It ain't my problem. This is what they charge, and this is what it is. But I know a lot of times people say, well, Middle Eastern, and we say Middle Eastern. Well, there's levels to Middle Eastern. There's levels to it. For instance, over my left shoulder with my hand, I have Spirit of Dubai back there. Spirit of Dubai. We're not going to talk about what you can get at discounters. That is a Middle Eastern company out of Dubai. They come from the parent company of Nabil. If you're in the clones, Nabil has lower tier stuff, $20 fragrances you can buy, Nabil, $20. Then they have Spirit of Dubai. That Narcissi back there in those second generations, those tall boxes are $1,000 a bottle. $1,000 a bottle. Now you can get them cheaper now, but retail, if you go down and you go buy it, it's $1,000 a bottle. That is a Middle Eastern brand. There's levels. Why are they charging $1,000 for these bottles? Now, some of it can be some people can say the gaudiness of the bottle and everything they put into it. True. But at the same time, Spirit of Dubai oud. I got it up there. It's just called oud. You can smell the Indian oud, or what appears to be real high tier Indian oud. That is also $900. That is not $40. It's levels to everything. And I don't necessarily know that it's just not a name. Because if we say, well, Middle Eastern is providing affordable, no, they ain't. These are $1,000. Amouage. is a Middle Eastern brand. They have $400, $500 fragrances. What makes something cost something else? I don't have the answer to it. I don't want to say what people are using and what they're not using, but in everything in life, there's levels to everything in life. There's levels. Whatever the cost is, the cost. You're going to choose to pay it or you don't. But when it comes to ingredients and what's used inside, I don't know. I'll have to bring some perfumers in and really, I think we should interview a perfumer one day and see what they really have to say with the cost of stuff. But I think that matters. You want to add on to that?
No, I mean, I think you're right in everything you said. There's definitely levels to it. And a lot of times, like, let me see what I can say without being like, here's the deal. Some of these, like the clone fragrance market is a big business. It's big business. But the crazy part is that just in the conversation that I've had with some of these Middle Eastern companies, some of these are just hobbies. Like you would think like a 250, 300, $400 million a year company for some of these people are like you're all in. But it's just like, hey, I like fragrance. This is a passion project. You know what I'm saying? So if I could go ahead and, and take my take on it and bring something to the world and, make some money while I'm at it because I'm a good business person, then that's what I'm gonna do. And I think that that's something to consider as well, because these people have multiple, like these fragrance brands have like multiple companies under them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they are using some fragrances from the same places, and maybe some that are not. But I think they're all putting their spin on things, and I think there's a space for each one of them to exist. You just got to know what you're getting when you're getting into it.
Absolutely. That was that point. Let's see what else we got here. Fact or fiction? I'm gonna call this, and I'm gonna let you start this one off. Fact or fiction? Clone fragrances smell just like the original. Fact or fiction, and why?
I think it's a blanket statement to say that they all do, because they don't. I think sometimes they get it extremely accurate in terms of, hey, this smells very similar to this. I would go as far as saying in the air, for an average person who's not a connoisseur, it's going to smell the same, or at least just close enough where you won't care about the difference in it. So generally speaking, it would be fiction, but what I would say is perception is reality. So in that case, if you perceive it to be just that case, I can't tell you that you're wrong in that, because it's you and you're living through it and your experiences with it. The way I look at fragrances is very different. Although generally speaking, we put it out into the air like, hey, this should work for you in this situation. This should work for you here. But when you really break it down, everyone's experience is totally different. From the pH balance that you have when you spray the fragrance, to how your receptors pick it up, to what your environmental elements might be like. All those things change how the fragrance is perceived. So it would be fiction that we say that they all smell the same, but your perception is reality. So if you feel it does, then it does. So I'm gonna go fact.
All right, I'm gonna be. I don't know if I'm Skip or I'm Shannon in this thing, because I got my drink. I don't know if I'm, Lakers in 5. I don't know if I'm Skip or Shannon here, right? But not only am I gonna say it's fiction, I'm gonna say it's bullshit. And this is why. And I have my reasons why. I think when we're talking about a fragrance, right, we're talking about an entire experience from beginning to end. It is the drive. So you take, I'm a car guy, right? So I'm gonna lean to that. You talk about, the new Corvette and how they were inspired by Ferrari, and that's very apparent. And I think the new Corvette, the C8, was built on the 458. kind of thinking of how the 458 was and improving on that, the 458. But I can go get in the old 458, or I can go get into a 1968 Corvette. And me starting that up in cold start, even though it won't go 200 miles an hour, starting that up, putting on my driver's gloves, leather gloves, setting in it stick shift that they don't make no more, manual, driving down the road, even though I won't break 200 in that. That experience from starting it up, setting in that classic car, driving it to a destination with my glasses, my vibe, the feeling, listen to that vintage engine and parking it is the experience, the whole experience. So take my sin of the day. My sin of the day is from the house of Boudicca, which has been considered a expensive clone house, but that's a conversation for another day. Or maybe it might be a conversation for today. But I take this fragrance, my sin of the day is Night of Love. When I do my Monday live and I do my weekly rotation, I've been wearing all of the variations of this. I have 7 variations of the Montabac DNA. And I'm going to discuss the differences between all those variations. Now, I think what clone companies do is attack our scent memory, and they take the base part of when you think about a fragrance, what is it? It might be the citruses, the lemon, it might be the tobacco, it might be the pineapple for something like a Ventus, it might be pineapple and oak moss that might make you think of Hasselhoff. But what is the essence of what this fragrance is? They take it and they focus on that. And that what causes us, when we smell it, scent memory, to say, oh, this smells just like. But it doesn't do the entire ride, which is up, down, left, right, middle. The entire experience is what a fragrance is. This has been compared to Montabac Intensivo, the Montabac or Monjane line. I have it. I'm telling you, as somebody who owns every single version of that line, because I think Ivory is part of another one. I think they discontinued Ivory and made it to one of the ones I have, but I'm still doing research on that. But Ivory is the only one I don't have. I have every one of them. I've worn them. I own them. I've tested them side by side. This doesn't smell like Montabac Intensivo. But wait a minute. You'll say, well, it kind of does, because you're even going to talk about you're wearing that DNA. Yes, the essence of what it is, this could easily be a flanker, but what this has is this strawberry raspberry accord that's very apparent when you smell it beside every single other version of this DNA. You will not pick it up. Some will pick it up, but I've seen some reviews. Nobody talks about that red berry, strawberry, fruity accord that is extremely apparent in this, because until you tested every version of this DNA, you'll realize they're all different. So yes, does it take the essence of it? So we're talking the cashmere, we're talking the leather accord, we're talking the dry woodiness, we're talking the smoky tobacco. Yes, that essence of what makes Montabac Intensivo, yes, it takes in this. But Montabac Intensivo and none of the other versions have this strawberry, raspberry, red berry thing going on that's extremely apparent in this. I don't even know if I can call this a clone, because the drive to get from A to B is not the same. It's not even in the same ballpark in the grand scheme of it. What's your thoughts on what I said? What's your counter?
All right. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Give it to me.
You're a car guy, right?
Yeah, I am.
All right. You familiar with a car company named Genesis?
Yes, Genesis. That's the expensive Hyundai, right?
Yep. Are you familiar with Bentley?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So Hyundai went out and got 2 designers from Bentley. and they said, "Hey, come on over here and make us some cars." Um, I was having a discussion with one of the guys who worked for me about a year or so ago, and he has a Hyundai. I'm sorry, he had the Genesis. He has the Genesis, and I was in the market for a Bentley at the time.
Mm.
My daily driver is a 7 Series BMW, and we went back and forth on this. And this is why I did not get the Bentley. I get in my BMW. I put my foot on the brake. The door closes. He gets in his Genesis. He puts the foot on his brake. The door closes. Um, he has same screen as I have, same heated seats, same cooled seats. He experiences a similar driving style. So the feeling that you talked about when you talked about the Corvettes is the same. So when we think about the fragrances, the feeling is the same for what they're getting. So there would be nuances and subtle differences, but the extra $130,000 that I paid for my car, is it worth it for what he paid for his car? Now you can argue the quality is there. They went to say, "Hey, Bentley, come over here and design these cars for us." So that's why you see their, I think it's GV80, is the same look as the Bentayga. But you don't look at it as the same. If you're a car enthusiast, you say, "Oh, that's a Genesis and that's a Bentley." But it's the same features, same functionality. The difference is some quality levels, the trims are going to be different, but the feeling of what you get when you sit in there, the wow factor that you get when you put your foot on the brake and your door shuts, you press it and the door opens, things of those natures that some people won't get, is the same. So I would say, you know, you're buying the emotion, the brand, the name versus just the features that you get.
That's a great point. Great point, but I do have somewhat of a counter to that. I do have somewhat of a counter to that. And my counter to that is I think it comes down to the level of connoisseur you are. The
Mhm.
level of connoisseur you are, right? So
Is it that we are putting this difference there? It's like, you know, nah, it can't be that because I really do this and I spend the big bucks, so therefore you can't be in this club.
no.
Okay.
Okay. I'll say this. Value is all going to be based on individual person and where they are in their journey, right? Where they are in their journey. So we'll take Whiskey Reaper was in here, and I'm sure he can attest to this, right? Somebody who's not into bourbon, I can give them a bottle of E.H. Taylor small batch and give them a bottle of Jack Daniels 14 up there. Most people will taste it. They'll get the same drunk. If they drink enough, they might vomit, but this is good stuff. This don't really give you the headache, the inducing headache that you're going to get, right? So it's the good stuff. They will get the same drunk. They might get the same buzz, get the same feeling when smoking a cigar. But for a person who's been doing it long enough, they will say that Jack Daniels has this banana note in a lot of their whiskeys that these other brands don't have. It's like their signature thing. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know because you're on a novice level, that's fine. But when you know better, you do better, right? It's like when you know better, you do better. And you can have cigars. Another thing I like, and you can have all Honduras cigars from Honduras, and they'll smoke differently from the first to the mid to the third. It smokes differently. It tastes different. The same way with notes that you'll take a fragrance and you'll look at the notes. They'll be all the same notes in the same way, but it smells totally different. I think the ride and the journey for somebody who's been, if you're doing it long enough, depending on what your motivation is, what your why is, I think there come a time where you can say, I know the difference when I'm eating a filet mignon and a New York steak. They both come from the beef. They both come from the cow. But I know the difference when I'm eating a filet mignon. I know the difference when I'm eating a skirt steak. And you can also taste the difference when you have Wagyu. It doesn't taste like Sizzler. You know what I mean? It doesn't taste like you went to Applebee's and got a steak. I think, and yes, Wagyu costs more, and you could say, wow, it costs more. But when you have dry aged beef and you're eating it, pause, it's just some things I think some things you just have to face the fact for what they are to a certain degree. It doesn't mean it's not good or it's less than, but I think there's a difference there. And if somebody's just getting in the car, test driving it, sure. But then you start owning it. And then you go to your BMW dealership, and when you go in there, they got coffee for you. There's an experience there that you pay for. They got water. In the Mercedes dealership, they got water, they got drinks, they got the good snacks there. You might go to Genesis dealership, they might just have some water and some plain coffee and some old crusted donuts. But the seats are different. It's the entire experience from customer service to everything. I just think is different. I had a Tahoe, and I've also owned a Cadillac, Escalade. Same platform, but they were different. Even when they both had the ride, it just there was a difference, and I don't think it was in my head knowing that I was driving an Escalade. It was just a very, even when I walked into the Cadillac dealership, there was just a different experience. And I don't know. I think some things are different. I mean, it comes down to the person, but I think there are some differences there, some differences. And if you got one more thing, I'll let you end on that note. We'll go to the next one. I know you got a counter. Go with it.
Listen, you know what? I think you're right in that experience, right? In that experience, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about I forgot what car they had, but they were like, "Oh yeah, when I go to the dealership, it's just I got to get a ride back." I'm like, "Oh, when I go, they give me another car." You know what I'm saying? So I get that, but I'll leave it at this. I think the differences is really on us, right? Personally, I feel like it's that we care. Right? We care about it, so therefore there has to be a difference. I'll put it in. You mentioned steak. Every year, I buy people who on my team or work for me, etc. This popcorn. It's called Burko's popcorn. It's marketed as the world's most expensive popcorn. It's $5 for one single kernel. It goes up from there to $6,500 for 10. So a person who is looking at it, it's going to look like just a caramel popcorn, right? Like you went to a store, got a bag of caramel popcorn. But in those instances, you have to tell them this is not that. The salt is flown in from here. This caramel is here. This butter is this. But for the average person, they're not going to care. They're not going to know a difference. And if we have to put that much explanation into what makes it different, then it's not different.
Good one. Somebody said that, let me see what this comment is. We keep saying that the average person, but the average person about smelling good. Yes. But here's the thing. and I like that. I like that for the intermission transition. Is here's the thing though, and I'm talking to the fragrance influencer. Do the average person care? Yeah, no. But do you let people dictate your movements? I don't know about you. I don't really let people dictate my movements. It's almost like if somebody's like, I know we're in this match energy culture, right? It's like if you be rude, I'm gonna be rude. If you tough up, I'm gonna fight. But I think there's certain times where matching energy, or it's like I can't let another man dictate my movements, right? So yes, the average person also likes McDonald's. It's a multi-billion. It is probably the most popular thing out there. The average person. I don't eat McDonald's. I don't touch it. I don't touch McDonald's. The average person likes McDonald's. So does that mean that McDonald's is quality food and quality burgers? No, I don't think so. And I think sometimes in life, when you know better, you do better, right? I think when you've, and I'm not putting this on fragrances, but I'm thinking just in general, it ties in. When you know better, do better. So if I'm on camera and I know better, I don't think I need to respectfully dumb myself down. I can be relatable. I like that, the word relatable, but don't mean that I have to forget all the knowledge I have and dumb myself down like I don't have the knowledge I have just to appease the sensibility of others. I think if I know better, I should say better, and people are going to like it or they're not going to like it. I know you, Fortune, where you 500, 100? Who you? 100. Yeah. That's so your money man.
Fortune 50, but
yeah, but at the end of the day, you're a money man. You have knowledge in the money game, and if you were giving people, you have access to information when it comes to even money. Even with this, me and you talk a lot, like business. The whole we talk a lot. People don't know that we talk just outside of just the fragrance content and just growing in the space. You have knowledge. For me to be like, to dismiss that, or you to act like you don't know what you know when talking to me, I think is also cheapening the conversation. Do you lower yourself down to what people don't know because you figure the average person is watching the video, or do you bring people up to what you know? And I don't, that's an individual thing.
Yeah.
I like to bring my audience up to what I know and tell them the mistakes I made, instead of saying, yeah, just buy everything, just buy stuff. I'll be like, well, I made dumb decisions just buying stuff. I don't think you should buy stuff. So I'm gonna get on my channel and say, don't buy stuff. And I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a good conversation, and I kind of like how we left that. I think that was a good comment. That was a good comment. So I know one of the questions without looking at it is, do you, and I'll let you start this one off. Do you think fragrance creativity is dead in today's space?
I don't think it's dead. I think the audience dictates what we get, though. You know, so I think the perfumers are just as creative as they've always been. But you have to remember that they're being commissioned to do a certain thing. So the brand is coming and saying, hey, I want it to be this, this, and this. That this emotion, this price point on what you can do for the notes or the ingredients for it. And this is what I want it to come back as. I think the perfumers are just as creative as they always been, but the brands are seeing what's working and just staying there because they want that next Sauvage. They want that next I don't know, Lamore. You know, it just depends on what it is. So I think the perfumers, if given the task to be creative, they'll be super creative, right? But I also see that there are people like Day 3 who have shown creativity in their fragrances, and they're doing it at a less expensive price point than you're getting from like a Bleu de Chanel. And I would, if I had to guess, because I don't know the difference there, if I had to guess, I would likely say that Day 3 is probably using a higher quality ingredient, if I had to guess. So I don't think that the creativity is dead. I think that the consumers are maybe a bit more closed-minded than we are really setting pace for, to say, this is what's dictating it. The brands want to make money. So they're going to make whatever we buy. So this is why we see the trends and things change, and they may push the envelope a bit and then see how we react to it, which is why some fragrances come out and then they get shelved, right? If a fragrance gets more popularity because we talk about it more, we make it more popular, other brands are going to go in that same space because they say, all right, cool. The people who are talking about it, the free advertising, so to speak, are talking about this. I want to make something along these lines so they could talk about it too. And I can sell more bottles. I had the opportunity to meet Chris Letlepard from Mind Games, and hearing her story about how many people were in her class and how many perfumers have made it from that class. It's not a ton of them, and they're going back to the same people and they're asking for the same things. So I don't put it on the perfumers. I put it on the brands, and ultimately it's an us thing because the brands are trying to appease what we want because they're trying to make money. It's like in the fragrance space, people say they don't want most complimented videos, but those are the videos that get the most views. I think you're muted, bro.
All right, my bad. I was moving stuff around, and while you was talking, I didn't want to make a lot of noise. Appreciate that. I agree. I think my thing is, and this is why I say that I just think in a lot of companies and business in general have caught on. And I think what people aren't used to is, yeah, people are going to spend millions of dollars to be on the Super Bowl ad. They're going to do that. And Hyundai will go to NFL to get to the customer, and they'll pay to do that. But I think people aren't used to regular people who decided to pick up a camera are now driving markets more than they have ever drove markets. Regular people who woke up one day and said, I love this hobby. Let me put on a camera and talk about it. I get a subscriber base and I'm going to talk my ish. And that has now driven markets. And companies are now paying attention to these fragrance influencers. And when we want to bring it back to clone companies, they're saying, what new fragrance is coming out from what brand? Are they popular enough? Is it enough for us to spend the money to create a can we find a void? Oh, this is a popular fragrance. I've seen this made so-and-so's top 10 a million times. We got to clone it because it makes sense because they're watching the videos. They watch that, when you look at some of the biggest channels, your channel, Ash, Curly, some of the larger channels talked about Leighton. It wasn't no surprise that there's going to be 100 Leighton clones. You talked about Angel Share. I know you a lot. There's no surprise that we had 1 million Angel Share videos, but I think that come from them looking at algorithms, looking at what's being discussed, looking at what's driving the needle, looking at what fragrance is getting the most views and saying, aha, that's it. We're going after this one. Mm-hmm. There's the reason why, Tigar has been cloned several times, or Ventus, is because fragrance influencers or influencers in general from the tech space, video game space, things of that nature are driving markets so much that now companies are now flying these influencers out to be at fragrance release parties, fragrance events, early smelling releases, PR bottles, all these things. We're regular people at the end of the day. We wake up, put our socks on a lot, like everybody else. And I think that's also drives the hate because somebody looks at it and say, well, I'm not doing that. Or why are you getting that? Or why are you getting bottles? Or why are you, then it turns in, it has to be a bad thing. It has to be shilling because influencers are driving markets. So when you get to the creativity's down, I think creativity is down. I think when you start talking indie brands like Day 3, Chris Collins, Savoir Faire, fragrances, these small indie brands. I think indie brands will keep doing what they do, but those are also the brands that companies are not looking to clone either, though.
Mm-hmm.
Brands they're looking to clone are your designer brands, your mid-tier and high-tier niche fragrances that have little to no complexity. That's just absolutely easy to clone. And I think that's just kind of, when I say the creativity is down, I think even those brands now are just being lazy because they are also getting involved in the influencer market, and they are letting us drive and the audience drive. It is the influencer market is the quickest way from my bottle to the customer to pockets. It's like I can touch the customer quicker by using influencer, and it's very quick.
Yeah.
Triple B, can I send you a bottle? I can offer to pay you this much for licensing and exclusivity. Can you talk about it in the top 10? Sure. We can work it out. What's your kind of, what can I do? What can I do? All right, cool. Let me do the video. Boom, straight to the customer.
Yeah.
And it cuts the middleman out of dealing with the politics of lawyers and everything else to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does. And it's a trick. It's a tricky game, man. It's a tricky game. No matter how you look at it. But I think it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me see what the next part. That was a good one. That was a good topic. I kind of touched on the influencer market drive, and I didn't know if you want to add it to that, but I think
I'll add to it.
All right.
Here's the deal. So I think there's a few ways you got to look at it. At least I won't say you have to do anything, right? but just breathe. There's a few things. There's a few ways to look at it. I think most people that I've come across, at least had conversations with, get into this because they're passionate, right? They're just passionate. They like it. Trying to find ways to subsidize a passion of theirs, and if they can get a free bottle, cool. I think it's different when you become a figure in the space, so to speak, right? Because you have to show up for the people who are your core, right? And then you know that more eyes means more money. So now you're trying to attract new people. And then fragrance brands and other brands will reach out to you with offers, and you have to make decisions on who you want to be at that point. The influencer space, it can range greatly. There's people who understand the business aspect of influencing and get a nice bag off of it. There are people who may be bigger and don't understand the business aspect of it and just get the free bottle off of it. But to your point, what these brands are looking for is how to convert inventory into cash. And what the data and the statistics tell you is that you speaking about it, me speaking about it, a Curly, a Cologne Boy, a Cow, or whoever's in this chat, Fat Boy Finesse, or anyone else in this chat who decides to pick up a camera and talk about it, has a higher probability of gaining trust with the consumer than a Shaq doing a commercial for, said random brand, or Patrick Mahomes doing a commercial for said random brand. So I think as they connect and figure out who to tap into, that's one thing. But outside of that, I think you gotta just as a consumer in this space, understand that there is a business aspect to this. So, do your due diligence. I think I've always mentioned this, do your due diligence and figure this portion of it out. But I think most people are coming into this knowing that if they tarnish their brand by being deceptive, then it kills what they came in for, and it also kills their earning potential down the line. So yes, there is a a game that comes along with it of trying to talk about the hottest thing, the latest thing, and be first to market on something. There's that aspect of it, but there's also people in this game that just want to, you know, do their thing, be respectful, respect what they came in for, respect their audiences, etc. So, is there space for people for brands to do better in terms of letting people know what they're doing? Yes. Is there space for influencers to do something better to let people know what they're doing? Yes. But at the end of the day, I think that we drive the market. I know this is a long way for me to get back to what you asked. I think we drive the market, but don't realize that we do, and we have as much power in the space as we do. Long-winded, but that's where I'm at with it. You on mute again? You on mute? No, I can't hear you. It shows you might be muted at your computer versus your. There you go. Nope. Now you might be muted on the board.
Mic check.
Yeah, there we go. There you go.
All right. Technical difficulties, people appreciate it. No, that was actually the points. And really, I like when you get into that bag, because those are conversations that you and I have had offline. And I also know that there may be future influencers watching this content who they won't get this on a regular video. I think a live makes this a better space to have those conversations than a regular 10-minute video or 15-minute video. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if that's true, because people can watch how to build your YouTube channel and those get like 1 million views. But no, I love when you get into that bag. I love when you get into that bag. I don't have anything to add to that. What else is on the board? Do you? I know you're big on this. I got a feeling I think I know where you're going to go. Do you think that over the years, the importance of compliments and longevity is what completely has changed the real game of perfumery? And I'll start off because I know where you're going to go, and I kind of want you to end on that one because I know where you're going to go. So my question, and now I'll say the question again because it wasn't as clear. Compliments, when we talk about creativity, compliments and longevity has to a certain degree ruined the game. Let's be very clear, in my opinion. Make no mistake, people, the fragrance industry is a billion-dollar industry, multi-billion-dollar industry as a whole. Every time you post a picture, you open your mouth to talk about any kind of product in general, somebody's changing. Money is changing hands. We talk about a fragrance, money is changing hands. You talked about Blue Talisman tonight. I talked about Boudicca Night of Love. Somebody somewhere is looking up the price of it and thinking about buying those fragrances. And we didn't tell you to go buy it. More than likely, we'll tell you to sample it and figure it out for yourself. But I noticed, at least in my inbox, people constantly ask, how long does it last? Do you get compliments, bro? And my thing is, what I get is not important because you aren't me. I'm not you. And there's too many variables when it comes to compliments. Where are you at? Are you in an event where it's social? Are you at the bar? Or are you just saying, I got this fragrance. I went to work. Nobody complimented me at work. Yeah, sexual harassment laws. People are kind of like very, depending on what you do for work, you work in a strip club or you work in corporate. You might not get that many, you smell good. That's like, you look good today. I love your dress, Susan. There is a corporate kind of, there's an etiquette there. So work is low if you think you're going to get that there. Then you're going from work to your car, maybe to Target, Walmart, the grocery store to pick up stuff. People are busy. I came there to buy salad and some bread. I don't care what you're wearing. I've been at work for 10 hours. I've been in traffic for an hour. I don't care about your Dior Sauvage, bro. I don't care about your blue talisman, your Bodicea. It's irrelevant to me. I'm trying to go from point A to point B. Unless it's something extremely extravagant that's just mind-boggling or that good, I'm probably not telling most people you smell good in general. So are you social? Are you at places where people are social? Bars, concerts, festivals, sports games, restaurants, happy hour, social environments. If you aren't at these places, you don't really understand the depth of compliments. A lot of y'all think that, influencers are lying about compliments, but that's because most of y'all sit in the house. Y'all don't be outside. And until you are actually outside where people should be talking to people, then you will never experience the compliments that most people who say they get compliments get, generally speaking. Are there some liars? Yeah, there can be some liars in that, but you still won't get that. So I noticed that, the compliments. I noticed that longevity is a thing. And yes, if I pay $600 for something, I want it to last longer than 30 minutes. I really do want it to last longer than 30 minutes. But when you do that, it's almost like, well, where's the creativity and the ebbs and flow of the fragrance? Because we know that it's just easy, cheap, affordable, simple, will always get compliments the way McDonald's low budget burger meat, plastic cheese, horrible bread that will never mold will always stay in business. Because if quality was a thing or creativity was a thing, these places would have been out of business a long time ago, and that's just not the thing. So, in my opinion, it's driving the market. Money always is going to drive the market, but I've noticed that companies express these last long, these last long, these last long. They're easy to wear, compliments, and it seemed like to me that's where things are going. I'm gonna let you take the stand.
Yeah. I feel like I'm ahead of the curve on this one a bit. Um, back in maybe 2018, I started this thing called the weekly fragrance rotation, where I documented every day how many compliments I got with the fragrance, how long it lasts, how many sprays I wore, etc. For like 94 weeks or something like that. Um, and what I've learned is that the compliments come in when your aura is right.
Mm.
There's some days that I am on scrunched up FaceTime and I know I smell amazing, but no one's gonna compliment me because they don't feel that they can compliment me. Or it could be a problem, or I'm not approachable in how I'm coming across. So I think that that's super important too, along with it. But in addition to that, man, I think the compliments become like I always get people tell me that they hate that I say wear fragrances for compliments. I have self-esteem issues, this, that, and the third. Someone should have hugged me more. I don't know. There's a lot that comes along with it. But when I say that you're wearing fragrances for compliments, here's what I mean. Majority of men
Talk about it.
got into this wearing fragrances to attract the opposite sex. They wanted to find something that set them apart from their homies, something that set them apart from that guy across town, just the other side of the school. They wanted that, and the fragrance compliments makes a difference because if you smell great, you have a higher probability of women being more receptive to you. So when you're thinking about it in those spaces, that's really what it's about. Like if you go into a blank browser, go to YouTube, like go incognito, so none of your history is there. Go incognito. Go to YouTube or Google, type in fragrances for. That's what people are searching for the most. And what you'll see is fragrances that get laid, fragrances that attract women, fragrances that get compliments, fragrances that, X, Y, and Z, best for whatever time of the year it is because it's going to be variable. That's what people are wearing fragrances for. So you have, I think it echoes more in this space because we're here and there's so enthusiasts, so to speak, who wear fragrances for the art, for the passion, for the love of what the story is behind these said stories, behind these brands, is what they're here for. But the bulk of people, the average Joe, Mark across the street, they're here to show up and smell better and outdo. They want to put the whole look together. And that's a part of it. So, yes, when I say wear fragrances for compliments, you want to have the best chance of showing that you are the best option if you're in the market. Or just reminding your spouse that you are that guy. That's a part of it. And that plays a huge role for me. Like,
Slow down.
like when I'm wearing a fragrance, I don't want to put a fragrance on that's going to deter my wife. I want to put a fragrance on that make her get close and snuggle up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so those are things that I'm talking about. For people who are not into that, hey, that's your thing. But like I told you, man, studies show 68% of men are wearing fragrances for the same reasons that I just mentioned to you. And when you look at how big this business is, it has like a 5% growth rate in terms of what the fragrance economy is, that the big space, right? So right now, I think last year was more around like $60 billion, projected to go into $80 billion by 2030. Like, those things are important in the space. And I can tell you, most people are wearing fragrances for those reasons. And I think when you do it right, when you have the right aura, when people are approaching in the correct way, you can get compliments at work. I do it all the time. I walk in, people say, "Oh my goodness, Buck, you smell so amazing." Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can give a compliment without sexualizing or without being HR. HR can compliment me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just those things, man. You got to understand there's ways to go about it. You can't be a creep. Don't be creepy. Oh, you know what that fragrance makes me want to do to you. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. Pause. Time out. Flag on play.
Nah, I get you. But you know what? I find that depending on what generation you come from, some people are just socially awkward. They don't know how to really converse with people, to get out and converse with people. Just, always say, I think fear of rejection, fear of a lot of things stop people from talking to people. Like, we're from a different generation. I can go to any bar in America and start a conversation with somebody about anything. I can just walk up to them, start a conversation, and it don't have to be sexual. And we can just, I know how to spark it because it takes me a minute. I'll observe them, and by observing them, it'll tell me where I need to go with the conversation. Just in general, tell me where I need to go. I look at their body language. Do they look tired and exhausted? Are their legs, when I sat down, do they swing their legs towards me or away from me? Are they closed off? Are their arms crossed? These are subtle clues that the subconscious is doing that are nonverbal forms of communication. If a woman looks tired at the bar, she's, you can just tell, and it's a whole science. I don't feel like going into it. And you'd be like, oh, that's a woman that's had a long day at work. This is her wind down. There's a conversation. How you doing today? Rough day at work. I know for me, I've been working hard. How about you? You do not even know. Listen, man, what you drinking on? You need a drink? Because I know I need a drink. I mean, well, yeah, sure. I'm drinking so-and-so, so-and-so. Hey, can you get the lady so-and-so, so-and-so? I need some of your good stuff. It's been a long day, man. Like, what's going on with you, though? How was your day at work? Man, I've been working. They've been working me hard. Boom, I'm in. I'm in there like swimwear, right? And that don't mean I'm scoring. That don't mean I'm planning out. But that conversation could go into, well, I own this company that does distribution with T-shirts, and you'd be like, oh man, I was thinking about marketing, doing some stuff. I do YouTube. You do T-shirts. What do your T-shirts cost? You just now made a business partner, right? I always said your net worth is your network. Who you know matters. Information and knowledge is money. And you have to learn how to cultivate that. And a lot of people don't know how to cultivate that. So no, I definitely totally agree with you that people want to smell good. It is part of your wardrobe. In the grand scheme of it, it's like saying, well, I don't really care what people say, so I'm gonna go to work in some, I'm going to a business meeting in some shorts, some Jordans, in a baseball cap turned backwards. Like, no, you don't. You're gonna say, oh, I'm trying to close this meeting. I'm gonna wear my best suit. I'm gonna wear this. I'm going to the club. I'm gonna wear it. It is all we like the affirmation. I think human nature likes the affirmation. So no, I don't know where else to. I asked you that question for a reason, because I know that's your bag. That's your bag right there. And
I take all the hate that comes along with it too, and I'm fine with that. I'm standing on business for that.
And to end this off, I mean, we got, let me see, 205. Jason, my admins, at least my admins on my page. How many likes we got right now? I'm trying to see something. How many likes? Let me see how many likes on both pages. Go to Triple B's page too for me real quick and tell me how many likes he got on his. I'm trying to see some. How many viewers? How many likes? 118 likes. We can do better than that. We had 207 views. We can do 7. How many on Triple B's page? How many likes he got on his page? We need to get that up. Tell me how many likes he got on his page. While they do that, we'll get to it. 118. Let me see on his page. Somebody put Triple B and put the likes beside it, because I just want to see it. Y'all need to hit that like button. If y'all want this content, this is the stuff, the interactions. I like the fact y'all keep interacting in the comments. This is the kind of stuff that make us say 123 on his page. All right, well, get me up. Come on, y'all. It's competition. It's men out here. Get me up. He got 123. I want 123. Hit the like button now. Let's get mine up to 140. It's like auction out here. All right, but back to the conversation. And we're gonna end it off here. We're at 1 hour and 27 minutes, 200 strong, like no real fall off. I've been looking, so that's a good thing. They clearly like the conversation. Hold on. Triple B got about 58 likes, 66 watching. All right, well, he got a good number, 58 to 66, but let's get those numbers up. I guess they need your promotion on that side, bro.
Yeah, listen, man. Live time, my thing. This is my second live on my channel ever. So they don't expect that from me.
But I see they've been watching the replay on it. Hopefully, they get hip. They get hit too. Well, we love you too. Elliot said, "Man, love you, brothers, man. Hey, we appreciate it. I know I appreciate it. I know Triple B appreciate it. Appreciate the chat. I see a lot of that going on. All right, we're gonna have the last question. The last question for this topic. Again, I know I'm gonna put it up in my stories on IG. I know I'm gonna ask it in my Facebook group. If y'all have certain things y'all want us to hit on, please. I'm all open for suggestions. All open for suggestions on where we're gonna go with it. But the last question to end this show off is: do you think we're nearing are we at the peak of the clone thing, or is it still climbing? Because once it hit the peak, it's going to go down. Do you think we're still going up, or do you think we're leveling off, or do you think we're at the peak? Where do you think we are when it comes to clone fragrances?
No, I think we are just scratching the surface of what it's going to be. I think these clone brands will shift beyond just clone brands, and they're kind of doing it in a way. They will shift beyond just clone brands into bigger, well-known brands for the things that they're doing for themselves in this space. I think you'll also see them in stores, like a regular store. Let's call it some luxury stores that you'll see them in, because even in the clone space, there's different levels to the price points there, right? You got clones that are in the hundreds of dollars versus clones in the $20 and $30 range. So there's a difference there. But I think as these brands begin to make their price points higher and higher, we'll see that more clone fragrance brands will come into the space. Those that are really popular, those that can partner with the right influencers and create joint product sets and things like that will continue to grow. And I think we're just scratching the surface. I think more people will join into the fragrance space, and then there's some people like my thing is YouTube, right? But then you got people who are on YouTube, um, and then you got people on TikTok, right? And some people on TikTok don't do well on YouTube, so they don't come over there, and vice versa. So I think because there's so many people and it's growing so much, and people who are not in a space to produce content yet will become in a space to produce content, and they'll become figures in this space. It'll continue to grow, and fragrance houses will continue to get bigger, and I think it'll just grow and grow and grow because of the projection within the industry, et cetera. So as long as those price points differences and people are creative and someone has the bag to spin, it'll continue to grow.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have nothing to add to that. I think we haven't scratched the surface. I think it's still going up. I also think prices will change a little bit, or like clone brands, as you said earlier, will have their luxury level. They'll have their Toyota Camrys and they'll have their Lexus. And they will change the name and come up with a Lexus and elevate into something almost like Nabil. Nabil has Spirit of Dubai. That's their echelon of, that is their Lexus, Spirit of Dubai. So no, I don't really have nothing else to add to that. Even if I want to play devil's advocate on that, I don't. Yeah, I totally agree. I think we haven't really scratched the surface on it, and I also think due to the price point, it's allowed them to flood the airspace, and when by airspace I mean TikTok, YouTube, where like my kids, I have kids in high school, right? Let me blow myself. I have kids in high school. Whenever I try to have a conversation with them, my oldest daughter's graduating this year, my youngest daughter graduate the following year. Whenever I'm trying to have a conversation with them, right? They got they're in the house with their headphones on, earpods. Whenever I'm trying to have a conversation with them and I'm like they're distracted, I'll be like, "What you doing?" "I'm on TikTok." TikTok is very seldom do I see my kids sit down in front of the TV and watch a movie or a TV show. 90% of their intake, information, entertainment comes from TikTok. Probably 99%, which also made me realize that I probably, regardless of how I feel about it, should just make sure I'm uploading on TikTok, because that's just where it is and you can't escape. It's like you can fight the system or you can work with the system. And I have young kids and I know where it is because I know what they're watching, and that's where the eyes is, and the businesses have to know what they're watching. And they also know that if they can send out bottles and if they can get more people saying it, it becomes believable. It becomes more normalized, right? You come from my era. Around, we're in same area, same era kind of thing. We didn't wear fake stuff, right? And I'm not calling clones fake, but I'm just using that as an example. You don't wear fake stuff. If you want XYZ, you buy XYZ. You save up money to get XYZ. So when you had XYZ, you can say you felt good about it because you knew everything it took to get XYZ. You knew you had to save up X amount of checks from Foot Locker or whatever you was doing. You knew you had to work an extra overtime. But when you achieve and you were able to get it, there was a sense of pride. There was a sense of I made it. There was a sense of I did this to get what I want. And it wasn't easy, right? Because you had to make maybe some sacrifices. You couldn't maybe go out because you had to get something. Now we've normalized you don't have to have the real thing, and it's okay to not have the real thing. It's okay. And because you have enough people saying it, it's now okay. Where in the past, even if some people would probably do it back in the days where if you had a clone of a Ventus, you said, and somebody said, hey, what you're wearing, you lied. I mean, was that kind of person, but there are people who lied and said, people say, oh man, you smell good. What are you wearing? I'm wearing a Ventus. You smell good. What are you wearing? I'm wearing Imagination. When you knew you were wearing a clone. I think we're in a space now where people say, what are you wearing? You can be like, oh, I'm wearing Lattafa, so-and-so, so-and-so. I'm wearing Combra. It's normalized that it's okay to do it. So I think that's the beginning of it really starting to take off. And the availability to hit every single influencer who has motion to put it on the list, to talk about it, because it also benefits them, because it's giving them the views. So it's also self-inducing. It helps. And I think everybody benefits from it. You know, I don't really care much for the Robin Hood behavior. Like, you know, these niche companies, I'm Robin Hood, so I'm saving you by talking about these clones. F them. I think it's all bullshit. I think people want to get paid. And it's like, I can buy these fragrances. I can do content. By me doing content, I can get bottles. By me getting bottles, I can talk about bottles. By me talking about bottles, I can get checks. I can get endorsements. I can get PR. I can get paid. It's all I like money. I tell y'all. I think the Robin Hood stuff should stop. I think you're not trying to save Fragcom. You're saving your own thing. It's almost like death of the auto tunes. If there was enough influencers big enough that said death of auto tunes, death of clones, I think the influencer market would shrink tremendously because everybody's not going to go out and buy the fragrances you need to buy. And those fragrances that you probably need to buy aren't sending out a lot of PR bottles. So I think we haven't scratched the surface because of that. I think it benefits everybody. It benefits more people getting into the space. More people in the space means more talking. More talking means more advertising. More advertising means more money for them, more money for you, and everybody can find a way to win. And I think that's kind of where we are. You want to? I'll let you have the last word if you want to counter anything.
No, I'm not gonna counter. I think hearing it out loud, right? It's a little bit different. So there's a documentary. I guess I can't call it a documentary. There's a movie. I don't know. Let's call it a documentary. It's the secret to selling to the Negro. And just hearing you talk about it and seeing the things pop up in the chat, people like, oh, no fake this, no fake that. And in that, they talk about because the black man have been deprived of respect, have been stripped of things throughout history, that they don't want fake stuff. So they want to be able to show like, hey, I got this and you don't, or be able to brag to people about it. Maybe that's a bigger point that we need to talk about and unpack, to be comfortable enough to be able to live in that space where you can be comfortable with just what you have and not have to prove that you got it. So I think that's a whole different realm. But just hearing you unpack it and thinking back to that and how we've been programmed to operate. Because when you think about it, I think more of this conversation is probably in some of the underprivileged spaces than some people who have not experienced those same things. But at the end of the day, wear what you want, your money, feel free to do what you like. But hey, I think it goes deeper. I think it goes deeper.
That's a good unpack. And I think a lot of people, and I don't, Fragcom is welcoming to everybody. I know my page is, your page is, but there's a bigger picture, and I think they like seeing the brothers do that. And I'm willing to unpack that. I mean, I got time, and if the audience got time, let's see, we are 167 people. Maybe we should save that for another one.
Yeah,
say that for another one. We can dwell on that and we can unpack that. But no, that's a powerful conversation, and I like unpacking trauma, and I'm comfortable enough with unpacking trauma on camera, because I think it also helps the people behind us. And I'm a firm believer that I've always said it. I said there's OGs and there's old people, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of old people who think they're OGs, but if you're not putting nobody onto game, you're not an OG. If
Facts.
you're not telling people with a young person, hey, you know, when I did this, we was putting in work. A lot of people died by this. You should go to school because you have something going for you. This ain't for you. You should do that. That's an OG. The old person just say, hey, young man, you want to make some money? Yeah, bro, let me put some money in your pocket. Let me show you how to, you know what I mean? Yeah, go do this, go run that. Right. And I just think there aren't enough OGs. I think there's just a lot of old people running around portraying to be OGs. And I think that's a beautiful thing to unpack. And I think we can segue that into another live. That's because you're right. When you say it out loud, you start thinking, yeah, that mindset is deeper than rap. it's deeper than rap. Listen, people, I hope y'all enjoyed this conversation. We're at 1 hour and 40 something minutes. A lot of y'all tuned in. Y'all stayed on strong. We had no big fall offs. Clearly, you like the collaboration, but we're not done yet. Hopefully, you know, me and Triple B, we have schedules. We try to keep them, but when we can try to make it, we'll make it. If we can do it, we can do it, you know, once a week. See where it goes. You know, it's a trial run. If y'all like it, y'all support it. I think that's something that we can work out. If y'all have things y'all want us to discuss, we can do that too. Please shoot ideas. We can talk about a lot of different things. We can go a lot of different places. It can be more than just fragrances, but I don't want to, at least I'm pretty sure, I speak for myself. I don't want to deviate too far away from it. But I'm okay with getting deeper because I think there's deeper meanings to things. I'm gonna let you have the last word, brother. What you got?
Yeah, man. Listen, I appreciate being here. You know, my schedule is crazy, and your schedule is crazy. So I've been home past 2 weeks. So I've been good there. So I appreciate the combo, man. This is all good. You know, this is some of the things we talk about when the cameras are off, and I think it's good for the people who are here to be able to experience the other side of it, but also build that connection in the community.
Yeah, Fat Boy said, especially on Friday. Yeah, I think Friday's a good wind down. It's the end of the week. Some people might be hitting the club, but I think some clubs cost a lot of money. So I think sitting down and having some people who y'all respect, content y'all respect, talk about some fragrances, y'all can have a drink, sit down with your family. Maybe you got a young son or whatever, because we dropping some game. Maybe they have experience or want to get into this space. It's good for them. Yeah, but
I will Fat Boy one of these too, bro. I will Fat Boy one of these too. So I don't know, how we work all that out, or we'll figure it out.
Yeah, Fat Boy, he'll get with you. We'll make that happen. And again, this is just we're trying things out. I know me and Triple B talk on what we can do, how we can do it. I know I'm with a brother who's done a lot of things and always thinking progressively in his own channel. If y'all seen his content from when he 2017, 18, the content now was totally different. Weekly rotations, he started that. You have to give your credit to there. That's just what it is. So when you start looking at that, we plan on bringing a female co-host. So, and I know who that is. She would have been on today, but scheduling things came up. But so we're trying to schedule 3 people's things and schedules to fit. But we want to bring y'all good conversation and not just everyday top 10s, even though we can easily give y'all that too. It can be a mini verse sense. But other than that, I don't have anything else to say. Listen, we love y'all. I know I appreciate the support. I appreciate the love. And me and Triple B talk backstage, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. And y'all be safe, drink safe, be responsible, love your people. Time is short. And we're gonna leave with the universal language of peace. Peace, everybody. Appreciate you. Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get this.